for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Bittt.tb. Embrace your true nature. And Locage. If the last time you went to Locage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Locage. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, I have a feeling tonight's show is going to be sick on this Wednesday, February 15. It is 2 minutes past 10 p.m. And, of course, the Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group. You see them? Energy. Yeah, that's Mike Cinquino and Sean Gerard, my boys, and the entire staff. They're a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. Energy Transportation Group is driven to be different. Like me. Also brought to you in part by La Bittt at Tibi. There you have it, La Bittt at Tibi. You see them? They are brewed in Quebec. They're a winner of a dozen international awards, and they offer quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. La Bittt at Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when Daphnée Malboeuf was on the Sick Podcast, it's time you go to Lacage. The menu will surprise you. And the reason why I say that is because Daphnée Malboeuf has never been on the Sick Podcast before. She makes her debut tonight. But before we get to her and before we get to Marc-André Perreault, and we're going to have a roundtable tonight, I hope they have a lot of energy for me because I have a lot of energy for them. I really do. Feeling good tonight. Sha-la-la-la-la. La-la. La. All right, let's bring up Agnello and Sammy before we get to them. We have Agnello, we have Sammy, Dewey, yes, going once, going twice. There they are, look at them. Beauty at the east.
You always like to surprise us.
Beauty on the right. I'm full of surprises, my friend, full of surprises.
See my shirt? I got it just for you, look.
Let me see it. What does it say? What does it say?
Master Control.
Master Control. That's amazing. Hey, look at mine. I got this one for you. Usually when I talk, I get paid, okay? So stop with the gift certificates and start throwing out the $1,000 bills, all right? Is there any money on that table for me? Is there any money?
Are you talking about BPM Sport? I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Sammy, thank God I have you in my life. Thank God. Hey, guys, I brought you on. First of all, how you doing, guys? I hope you're well.
Doing great. Thank you.
Thank you for your help, as usual. Secondly, we had a contest that started a couple of days ago where we were given a 4-pack of tickets by the WWE to give out to The Undertaker's One Dead Man show. We decided that instead of having one winner or one 4-pack, well, they just give us a 4-pack, right? We can do whatever we want with it. We decided to have 2 winners and so 2 pairs of tickets, okay? We put it on Twitter. We put it on Instagram. We put it on Facebook. We basically did this, and that, and whatever. We mixed everything all up, and the computer spit out a couple of names for us. So why don't we bring them up? The 2 winners to The Undertaker's One Dead Man show, which is going to be at the Olympia Theater tomorrow night, Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Winner number 1 for a pair of tickets is Paola Varone. Paola Varone. You just won yourself a pair of tickets. So, Agnello, what we're going to do is we're going to follow back Paola on Twitter, and we're going to send her a note where we're going to need, email address, I would imagine, and we're going to send it to the WWE, and they're going to take care of it, okay? Winner number 2 is Anthony Crisafulli. Anthony Crisafulli and Paola Varone are your two winners. So, Paola, congratulations. Anthony, congratulations. The Undertaker's One Dead Man show goes tomorrow night at the Olympia Theater once again, and I will see you there. Agnello, I don't know what time it's going to end at tomorrow, so I think you should have Matt O'Hayan on call just in case I'm not back for 10 o'clock. Someone's going to have to do the show tomorrow night.
Maybe we'll ask Daphnée.
Maybe we can ask Daphnée, yes. And the Montreal Canadiens actually are playing tomorrow night. But hey, listen, I only get one chance to meet The Undertaker. I'm going to The Undertaker. What do you want me to tell you? The Canadiens tomorrow night will be in Carolina, by the way. On Saturday, they're going to be in Toronto. On Tuesday, they're going to be in New Jersey. And Friday night, they're going to be in Philadelphia. Their next 4 games are on the road. But I am at home. I'm wondering where Daphnée Malboeuf is. And Yellow and Sammy, see you later. Daphnée.
Hey there, Tony.
Comment ça va? Where's that bike hanging? Where are you right now?
I'm home, actually. You know, because after this, I got to get to sleep.
Yes.
It won't be a long night for me.
No, I get, and look, I very much appreciate it because, of course, you are in studio with Jean-Charles Lajoie on BPM Sport, 91.9 on your Montreal FM dial. And you started off at 5:30 a.m. Monday to Friday. Jean-Charles steps up at 6 a.m. and together you guys both go until 9 a.m.
Yeah.
So seeing as you're on air at 5:30 a.m., what time does that alarm go off in the morning?
3.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And everything is ready. So waking up at 3, but at 3:05, I'm in my car and I get to the radio station by 3:30.
Why would you want to get there so early for?
Because I'm working, Tony. Obviously.
No, but I know. But look, so what do you have to get ready for the show?
I have a lot of things to prepare. I don't have anyone to assist me. So everything that goes on air, it's my research. It's my, I also do like all the clips that I pass on my show. So yeah. So I prepare my show like the night before, but there's still a lot of games going on. You know, there's a lot of games Pacific time today. So there's just like the wrapping up of it and going on until 5:30. I work a lot. Surprisingly, everyone's like, why do you get there like so early? I'm like, no, I'm working and I'm working till like 5:20.
All right. Okay. I got it. Why don't we bring in now? Welcome to the Sick Podcast, by the way. Welcome. I should have had you on a long time ago. They say it's better late than never, and I'm glad you accepted the invitation.
I'm really honored to be there.
All right. Fantastic. Let's bring in from TVA Sport, Marc-André Perreault. What's going on?
Live from North Carolina, and you should have had Daphnée before that because she's a beast. She's very good at what she's doing.
But to put up with Jean-Charles, she must be a beast.
Well, she needs good qualities, that's for sure. And I do not belong in this conversation after what I saw on Sunday, because you guys shared a private moment.
Yeah.
Much more private than I would believe. Believe me.
You know what? It was
private. There was water, hot water involved, and singing. So
it's funny you say this because I didn't want to show this because I kind of like humiliated myself.
You
right?
Did not.
But now that you said it, I figure we might as well bring it up. We might as well bring it up.
I don't think so. Sometimes you need to respect privacy.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Let me see if we found something here. Hold on a second.
It's those kind of moments when you're like, what have we just done? And do I still have a career? I don't know.
And why? Why did I?
It's funny because it's funny because I'm actually trying to find it now, and I'm having a hard time finding it.
It's on La Instagram.
Yes, the Jean-Charles.
Tony, you're an Insta babe.
Thank you.
Such an Insta babe. He's craving for those camera.
Let me see.
He's a slave for it.
Let me see. No,
craving for those cameras.
Craving for the camera, really? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can't find it. It's okay. We'll bring it up at some other point. But Jean-Charles had, he got everyone together on the Super Bowl, had a big celebration. He called it the Super Bowl des Chums. It was done at a location around Hochelaga Maisonneuve. And outside, Trevi actually gave a spa to give away of a value of $8,000. And obviously, what we decided to do was Jean-Charles had an idea that, you know what, let's inaugurate the spa. Like, let's be the first one to baptize it. So we'll go in the spa first. And so Daphnée went in and Jean-Charles went in and I went in.
For the record, I was not there.
Yeah. And seeing as we all like to sing, we actually sang like 4 songs, I believe. And Daphnée and myself probably thought there was going to be like 10 people outside because everyone would be inside. And as it turns out, there was like 150 people outside. And so Daphnée did okay for herself because, she's pleasant to look at. Jean-Charles, a little bit less. And I totally humiliated myself as usual. That's it.
I think that you did a lot better than Jean-Charles, actually, who was slipping and slipping all over again in the spa. And when he got off, I was like, man, what the hell was happening? I was just laughing my heart off, and he was like, "Je suis à mon plus mal." Oh no!
Tell me about the water level when JC and Tony left.
Yeah, so there was plenty of water in the spa when we got in, and when we got out, I don't know how, but it was halfway
empty.
gone. Halfway gone. Whatever.
Parce que ça évaporé.
Yeah, because we were too steaming hot.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. You know what shocked me the most that night? Like, let's be honest here, okay? Let's put the cards on the table, right?
Yeah.
Jean-Charles and I were not GQ, and we don't have a body that you'll see on the front page of Muscle magazine.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
Okay, we're not going to see ourselves on the front cover of Muscle magazine. Okay, so we all understand that and we all realize that, right? But what I can't believe is that knowing that this event was going to happen, we had a good amount of time of advance notice on that day that Jean-Charles didn't bother to clean up. I mean, he takes off his top. Okay. You talk about hair on his chest and on his back. Like he put George the Animal Steel to shame. You remember George the Animal Steel? He had a crush on Elizabeth. And it's funny because the more I look at Daphnée, she looks like Elizabeth, the lovely Elizabeth. And the more I look at Jean-Charles, he looks like George the Animal Steel. And so I guess that would make me Randy Macho Man Savage, right?
George the Animal Steel.
Marc-André, I couldn't believe the hair this guy has on his chest, on his back, on his legs. You're talking to a guy here, okay? You're talking to a guy. Look, I don't like hair on my body. I don't, to the point where it's going to become like, that's George the Animal.
Oh.
That's Jean-Charles Lajoie right there. That's him, okay?
Oh, please no.
To the point
Makes me hungry.
To the point where, like, I have an obsession where if I see a hair, I have to get rid of it. Okay. So now look at me, Marc-André. I'm not gonna take off anything here, but look, okay. Not a hair to be found. Not a hair to be found.
Confirmed.
Not a hair to be found.
So you're waxed like all over the place?
My legs? Not a hair to be found. You will not find a hair anywhere other than on my head and some facial hair, okay? Jean-Charles, George the Animal Steel.
No, but Tony, I was surprised. I think that you have less hair on your body than I do. I was like, what? What is that?
That's
yeah.
I'm 2023, I'm a modern man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jean-Charles is like 1920. Hey, okay, we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. Daph, I'm so happy you're on. Marc-André is one of my favorites because he's always in a good mood and he likes to joke around. But it's time to be serious. He's serious, but he doesn't have mind poking fun at himself too. Like me, it always makes for a great show. So let's have fun. Several topics are on tap tonight. One, of course, and it came up earlier today at BPM Sport. I was actually very surprised on what I heard on Gilbert Delorme's show. Marc-André, did you hear Gilbert when it came to Jonathan Drouin?
Yeah, the 1-year contract thing.
So Gilbert Delorme said that if Jonathan Drouin is all in for $1.5 million next year, he'll give him a 1-year deal at $1.5 million. And if he's the Montreal Canadiens, he brings him back. Later today at TVA Sport, myself, Jean-Charles Lajoie, Michel Bergeron, Max Lapierre, and Guillaume Latendresse of La Poche Bleue, we all weighed in and we said it's time for the Canadiens to move on from Jonathan Drouin, and it's time for Jonathan Drouin to move on from the Montreal Canadiens. Where do you stand, Marc-André?
Well, that's the most important thing. I think Jonathan Drouin needs to move on from Montreal, and it's for his best, his mental health and everything. And I'm not hiding. I really like Jonathan Drouin. He's raising money for kids. He doesn't have to do that. He's a good person. He takes time to answer every questions. It's not often that he's gonna decline an interview, and at some point I can understand at some point he's just tired or he doesn't feel like it, and it's all good. He's not the guy who's gonna go in the corner and get hit, and we all know that, and we talked about it. It's all about expectation, but you know what you're gonna get. If he's healthy, he's gonna put points on the board, like we've seen since he's in Montreal. Like on an 82 game season, it's pretty much 40, 45, 50 points. He can do the job on the power play. You can move in from first to third line if you need it. So 1.5 tomorrow morning, but for him, for everything, I think it would be better for him to just leave Montreal, go play hockey where there's less pressure, less eyes on him. And I really wish him that. And, if possible, I wish that he can play for another team on the 4th of March.
Daphnée, what do you say to those who say, hey, Jonathan Drouin, 3 points last night, first star, 3 points a couple of weeks ago, was the best player on the ice back then too, 12 points in his last 12 games. Before that, it's because he wasn't healthy. Before that, you had that anxiety issue. But Jonathan Drouin has finally figured out Montreal. He's arrived. This is the real Jonathan Drouin. Let's move forward with him. To that, you say what?
I think what Marc-André said, he's right. Like, for him, I think it's the right thing to move on. And I think that sometimes we forget that in Montreal, we are really up and down. I don't want to say bipolar because I don't want to, it's a real mental health issue, but we are highs and lows about the players that we love. But I think that there's the point. Jonathan Drouin, since he came in Montreal, he was never healthy a season long. He was never 100% a season long. And I think that tainted a little bit of his experience in Montreal and what people see and saw of him. But also the expectations that were, like, when he came in Montreal, he was a savior. And he was a guy who was going to score, 30, 40 goals a year.
First centerman. And he wasn't that. He was never that. He's a really good playmaker. And whenever I was defending him over the years, I was always repeating that. It's always about the expectations that you put in him. If you're signing him 1.5 for a year, and you're putting him on the third line, and with good teammates, with good wingers, there's good chemistry with Armia and Vorak since he played with them. If you're doing that, for me, it's a yes. But I don't think, like Marc-André said, that for him, it's the best. But for me, 1.5 and 1 year, for me, I say yes. I sign.
There's another thing I think we have to consider too, though. So, look, we don't even know if Jonathan Drouin would want to continue in Montreal, because it could be that Montreal is just a little bit too much for him. And you know what? He'd rather play in an environment where maybe there's less pressure, less media scrutiny, less fan pressure, all that stuff. Let's just say, though, even if he would want to pursue this.
I think it's pretty obvious, Tony. Sorry, but I think it's pretty obvious that he can see himself somewhere else. I mean, normally when you're a veteran, 1 year left at your contract, and you're asked about the trade deadline, you're always, well, I know the drill and blah blah blah. I'm not gonna, But he's like, yeah, I mean, I want to play well, so a contender can grab me on the trade deadline, and I'll be happy to have the chance to win the Stanley Cup, because this is what we're meant to be, win a Stanley Cup. So I'm in Montreal right now. I want to play well. I want to help the team. But if someone raises hand and I'm gonna go there. So he's very honest about it. So I think he's in his mind. He knows his future is not in Montreal, and that's what I wish. I mean, I wish him that he's somewhere else for the amount of money that he wants and everything.
And I agree with you, because if you were to ask me on 100%, what are the chances of him being a Montreal Canadian next year? I'd say it's less than 1%.
Oh, it's none. It's none. I think it's over. And Daphnée, I mean, she's right. When Marc Bergevin acquired him, for Sergachev, it was number one centerman. We found out very quickly that it would not happen. So now it's like, okay, where is he? Where does he fit? The expectation of the people, the expectation of the staff, and then the injuries, the mental health issues. So it was just a train crash. You say that in English?
Yeah, of course.
And there's always been like a consistency issue with him that was never over the years. I mean, he was injured a lot of times, and the mental health issue also, but there was always issues with his consistency, a little bit like Yoel Armia. And what I did not like about it is that when he came during the camp, he was super pumped at his golf tournament. He was super pumped to play with the young players. And I was on the radio and I said, I think that with all the young players and what Martin Saint-Louis, he's going to go for it, and he's going to want to be the veteran who's going to be there for those young players, and is going to be the one who leads the way. I think he can be that player, but I think he decided not to. And this is what I did not like. I think not decided not to, but I didn't see in him what I wanted to see, to be like going for it 100%, avoir le couteau entre les dents.
Yeah, but definitely it's all about expectations. I mean, what do you expect from a guy like Drouin, from a guy like Mike Hoffman? I mean, you know what you're going to get. And I remember before the season started, I said, you know what, let's give Jonathan a shot on the first line with Caulfield and Suzuki, just to see if it's going to work. But you cannot expect Jonathan Drouin to be a Raphaël Harvey-Pinard. It's not going to happen, right? And I know you didn't think that. And yes, we all had the hope that, it would be different this time. But if you're very objective, and Jonathan Drouin, healthy, is giving exactly what you can expect from him. So for me, it's just a health issue. He's not going to turn out to be the guy who's going to run the boards and go in front of the net. It's not going to happen. It's not him. So by
the way, Mapper, consistency is not him either, right? Because if he would play to his ability consistently, he'd be one of the better players of the National Hockey League. But because he hasn't, he's not. And that's why we are where we are, right, Daph?
But it's him. And he's a great player anyways.
Yeah.
And I've always defended him. But, with the things that he said at his golf tournament, I had expectations because he put some expectations on it. He put himself in this position. So that's why I had those expectations. I'm not blind about it, and I'm not blind about him. And I've really defended him over and over and over again over the years on radio and television.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was the one who said that. So that's why I had those expectations.
Yeah, Mapper, I'm going to disagree with you. And now here's where the show is going to become interesting, okay? No, we've had a love fest, all three of us here, for the last couple of minutes. And by the way, did you see what Daphnée wrote on Twitter before the show? Did you see her tweet?
Yeah, I saw that.
Hold on a second. Can we bring it up? Look at this. First time joining the Sick Podcast with the one and only Tony Marinaro and the charmeur de ces dames, Marc-André Perreault. And I said to Daphnée, I think you actually put "and" in the wrong place. Let's bring it back up, okay? So I said, I think you should remove "and" after my name and insert it before Marc-André's name, because don't you think it should be first time joining the Sick Podcast with the one and only Tony Marinaro, the charmeur de ces dames, and
that's what I think.
Marc-André Perreault. That's the way it should have been, right?
That's what I think.
That's what I think. We're gonna make Daphnée laugh, okay? Because she called you the charmeur, and I'm like, my ego is shot now, okay?
Everybody knows that you are the charmeur.
All right, hold on a second. Tell her the story because she does. Daph, listen to this. Tell her the story because she doesn't know the story, okay? Of your ex-girlfriend. Tell her.
No.
Oh hell!
I'm not. No.
You don't have to say any names. You don't have to say any names.
I don't even remember. Seriously, I think you remember better than I do.
Okay.
Like it's been what, 5, 6, 7 years ago?
Okay, you want me to so he wants me to say the story. He went on I don't know, you went on a couple of dates. I don't know how serious.
No, she was my girlfriend, yeah.
Okay, she was your girlfriend. Okay. So his girlfriend, okay. He goes, and he and I didn't know each other at this point, all right? So he goes to pick her up and they're going out for a date. She's wearing a shirt. I am a Tony Marinaro guy.
No.
This is a true story. Hey, is it a true story? Yes or no?
Yes, but I'm how many times will you bring this up?
As many times as he wants. I mean, I was up to go in a spa with him, and the thing that he was repeating, it was like, are you sure that your boyfriend is okay with that? Because whenever like a lady comes in the spa with me, what's happening after this.
But I said to her, I said, does your boyfriend know that we're going to the spa together? Because I wouldn't want him to get upset. Especially it was Valentine's weekend. Could you imagine? But
so typical.
She gave her full consent to actually enter a spa with Jean-Charles and myself, and you know what?
Can we move on?
Yes, she's a good sport. You know that because her and I and John, we all looked at each other once it was over and we said, we're gonna be on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube for the rest of our lives with this moment. Anyway,
oh man,
Marc-André, I'm never gonna bring it up again. Okay.
Oh right, yeah.
Okay. Jonathan Toews, did you see that? He's on the injured reserve.
I can tell you that people in Chicago are always very worried when Jonathan Toews, because we have to pronounce Jonathan, by the way. He told me that quite often. But anyways, they are always worried since, he spent that whole season because of that weird illness. So people are worried in Chicago, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Well, the reason why I brought it up is if Jonathan Toews is on injured reserve, if Sean Monahan can come back here and play healthy between now and the deadline, well, if a team is looking for a centerman, if Jonathan Toews is going to be injured for long term, they're going to turn to Sean Monahan, Daph.
Sorry about that. Yeah. No, sorry about that. It just.
No, did you catch what I said? I said if Jonathan Toews is on injured reserve for long term, okay?
Yep.
And Sean Monahan comes back, and Sean Monahan's healthy between now and the deadline and puts up a couple of good performances, well, then all of a sudden there's a market for Sean Monahan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there was a lot of team that would be interested in having a guy like Sean Monahan. I mean, Bob Hartley is one of our guy on our show, and he coached Sean Monahan, and he always told us what a good addition for any team that he can be, and like with the skills on the ice that he can put, but also like the person that he is in the locker room for any team that would be a nice asset. And I mean, Kent Hughes must be really upset with the way things turned out, because there was this great money exchange with Sean Monahan, no questions asked. That was the plan. I mean, I think it was ultimately the plan, but the plan changed with all the injuries that happened.
Well, he made a mistake by playing in Calgary. Was what this beginning of December. He played
he had a boot
December
on.
1st in Calgary. He had 2 points, but he came at the rink with a boot on his right foot. I mean, that's a major mistake. And since then, it's been a soap opera with the team. Like, it's been day to day. And then I think it was January 6th. It was 2 weeks. And then after a break, came back to day to day. Oh, sorry. I was getting a little too emotional.
No, but anyways. Hold on a second. What was it, though?
It was my light. Yeah.
Oh, you have a light.
You have a ring light? Are you an influencer or what?
No, it's like this. No, because
I tried to have a light too, but yeah.
Well, anyways, so that was a major mistake, because I think they just wanted him to play in Calgary, and I remember people in Calgary were like, "He's a tough guy. He plays with pain." Blah blah blah. That was a mistake. I mean, a guy comes in a boot, and you want to trade him at the trade deadline. He's doing well, and you make him play. I mean, what?
And make him play for what? It's a lot.
Never understood this one. Never.
And for what? So now I don't know what happened since then. Is it only the foot? Was the ankle hurt at some point? We don't know. Now we know that he's on the trip. That's a great news. And I mean, probably Kent Hughes right now is on his knees praying that he can play, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 games until the trade deadline, and we can put points, and because he is a great player. And I remember I was working in Ottawa when he was playing with the 67s. Man, this guy, he's the real deal. And there was rumors that he's not, giving it all every night. That is not true. He's a real pro. And if I'm a team looking for a centerman to make a big run in the playoffs, I mean, you run for a guy like him if he's healthy. That's obvious.
Mapper, I'm going to tell you something. I don't know why people have been so hard on this guy over the course of his career. I think he's a very honest player. Daphnée?
No, but do you think, guys, that he doesn't show any emotions? Do you think that it's one of the reasons that people are like, nah, maybe he doesn't care at all? One of the guys that didn't show any emotions, and myself, I was bored with the way that he was responding to us, the media. He was responding, but I mean, he was just like that. It was Carey Price, and people like when players have emotions, show emotions, and when they don't, they think that they don't care.
Yeah, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Joel Teasdale. Have you guys been following this story? Like, this guy's on fire the last couple of months.
Daphnée, you're up.
Yeah, no, it's a really great story. Joel Teasdale didn't have much of a luck since he came into professional ranks, and so he was injured.
Yeah.
Knees injury for 2 seasons. And when he began the season with the Laval Rocket, this year there was a lot of prospects that had to play before him. And, there's always this kind of issue in the AHL. There's a lot of veterans that has to play. You want to give them some minutes. But there's also a lot of prospects that the organization are looking forward to develop maybe more quickly than other ones. And so Joel Teasdale was one of those guys who didn't have a lot of minutes to play in the beginning of the season. Even he was a healthy scratch for the most of the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came on because there was a lot of injury with the Montreal Canadiens. So there was some call-ups, but there were also some really bad injuries with the Laval Rocket. So he did have his chance. And since he got his chance, he's been on fire since then. I've seen him in January, February, and he was always the guy who did the difference. He scored a lot of important goals.
Mm-hmm.
He scored a lot of on the power play, and he's one of the guy who's taking always one for the team. He's always there behind the net, in front of the net. He's always in the traffic. He's always put his nose everywhere to just like get the puck. And he lost 3 toots, I think. Last week during the practice.
Wow.
He was cut when I was in the game 2 weeks ago. He was cut over the eye. He's always there. He's a true warrior. He's one of the true warrior, and he put some points on the table. So yeah, it's a really great story for him with the Laval Rocket this year.
I brought him up because at one point, Mapper, there was talk when the Laval Rocket were struggling, they were losing more than they were winning, that JF Houle could be in trouble, right? I know you heard the same thing, and we read the same thing, and there was talk about it, chatter about it. The fan base was talking about it. You just get the feeling that the way JF Houle wants them to play in Laval, probably not the same ideologies and concepts as Marty St. Louis, not to mention that JF Houle was hired by the old management team and not this most recent management team. Having said that, Joel Teasdale has played some really good hockey with the Laval Rocket. Justin Barron was helped by his time with the Laval Rocket. Raphael Harvey Pinard played well with the Laval Rocket, and when he came up, he was ready. To a lesser degree, Jesse Ylonen, but Ylonen has not looked out of place, guys. I mean, he hasn't been a difference maker, but he hasn't looked terrible either. So it's probably not all bad with JF Houle, guys.
No, he's doing a great job. And we're talking about Teasdale. Our friend Anthony Marcotte on Twitter said Teasdale, he's the best goal scorer in the AHL since December 14th. So that is pretty good. And yeah, JF Houle is doing a great job. And I mean, you're right when you say that he's not the actual management choice, which is always a problem, but he's doing well. And you can see that guys when they're called up, they're ready. They're ready to play. And you've named all these guys and they're doing great. You talked about Ylonen. When he arrived, I was like, okay, he is a hockey player. He can play, but I'm expecting just a little bit more. If I'm Ylonen, I know I'm the most talented guy who's been called up since the beginning of the season. And he's probably the one I've seen the less. Obviously, Harvey Pinard he's on a roll, and that's, such a great story, such a great person. I think Belzile is helping more the big team right now. I'm tempted to say that Anthony Richard caught my eyes more than Ylonen, so I'm expecting more of him. I mean, man, it's your chance, and you're seeing guys less talented than you playing better. I mean, what are you waiting for? And that's
if I could throw in another name, Rem Pitlick hasn't been great either, eh?
No. Rem Pitlick is, I don't know.
He gives away the puck a lot.
And he doesn't goes in dirty areas. And if you are and I think he's a great guy, by the way, so I'm not just bashing him. He can play offense, he can play defense, so he's got all the tools, but I just want to see more, not desperation, but more grit, more, will to pay the price like Raphael Harvey Pinard is doing. And I'm like, why aren't you like giving it all? It might be your last chance. You never know. I don't know.
Is it time, guys, you think that we should have more of a meritocracy. I mean, this is rebuilding. This should be the time that we give the guys who are giving a lot of energy and heart to this organization, to this team, their chances. I mean, if I was the organization, Anthony Richard should have another chance.
Yeah, but let's not forget the contract thing.
Yeah, and it's going to happen after trade deadline, right? After trade deadline, you're going to see more players that I think deserve the ice time get the ice time. Mapper, I'm not going to keep you guys much longer. You've been so generous with your time, but I got to ask you, Mapper, are you planning on doing some kind of feature? Right? Yeah, are you planning on doing a feature with Kotkaniemi? All kidding aside.
Probably we'll talk to him tomorrow. Yeah, he has 21 points. I can't remember exactly. He's doing okay. It's again, like Daphnée said, it's all about expectations. I mean, what did you expect from him? I think he's doing well. I think he's he's getting there. Big body. He's But I'll talk to him tomorrow if he wants. Obviously.
Mapper,
he's a good guy.
Yeah, everybody's a good guy for you. Mapper.
Yeah, that's right.
I know you're the full-time beat reporter for TVA Sport, covering the Montreal Canadiens at home and on the road. But I'd like to ask Daphnée a story that she's covering very closely, of course, is Team Canada women's soccer team, the national team, asking for pay equity and basically threatening to not play a tournament in preparation for the Women's World Cup next year, not playing a tournament right now. Soccer Canada came back to them and said, you better play because or else, we're going to take legal action. I know Daphnée has a take on that, but do you have an opinion on this?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a shame for me. Equality. I'm a father of a beautiful young princess, and I want her to have the same chances as boys. And to me, it's just a shame that in 2023 we still have these conversations. You know more about soccer than I do, but from what I see, I mean, it's equity should be not. I mean, it's a must.
But guys, we're talking about soccer here, but I mean, the women's hockey players, they don't get paid like the men hockey players either. So this. This goes for in sport in general, right? Daph, go ahead.
But it's much more than that. For the first time, so the girls were told that they were having some budget cuts.
Yeah.
And so when they did learn that, they were asking to see just the books and to see if the money that they recall when they won the gold medal at the Olympic,
because they're better than the men's, right?
Absolutely. They just wanted to see if that money, who was supposed to be only for the women's team, had been used for the World Cup, for the men's World Cup. Yeah. Absolutely. So that was one point. So it's a lot more about just like money equity. It's to say that the women's team, who, by the way, has been there to support Soccer Canada over the years because they had the success, not only that they're not having the money that they deserve, but they're not having the money that they've earned with the result that they've put it years over years. That's what it's most frustrating. And they wanted to see the books, just only to see if there was inequity, because they've asked for the same budget as the men that they put on the men's team for the World Cup, because this team is preparing for the World Cup coming this summer. And they have a lot less of games to play to prepare for this World Cup. Mm-hmm. And not only this, they don't have the same game played as the men, but now with the budget cuts, they're not in the nice hotels. They don't have the same coaching staff. They have a lot of reduced coaching staff. They're not having their best players with them all the way till the preparation till the World Cup. So there is double standards, but not only double standards for equity, but they're asking for more transparency. And not only that they refuse that, they just told them that if they were having a grève,
a strike,
A strike,
absolutely, they would pursue them.
Yeah, they were
pursue
they were going to
women who were not paid last year, and who, by the way, make much money than the man. So not only that they didn't accept the strike, they were told that they will get personal pursuit. Who's going to pay for that? They're not having the money to pay for those lawyers to pursue Soccer Canada. So they're forced to play the tournament, who's beginning tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And not only they're forced, but they cannot express their frustration. They can just express by doing some little things like wearing their shirts over under and not wearing the Canada logo, but they cannot express much more than that by getting a strike or something.
It's too bad it got to this point, even though everyone's going to have an opinion and say, well, it's it's not the same quality of product, or it's supply and demand, or there's much more to gain by putting more money into the men's program than the women's program. Like, everyone's going to have an opinion on this. Having said that, I have a feeling that this will work itself out. It's unfortunate that it got to this point, but there are a couple of companies and there are some people who are going to step up here and are going to say, no, you know what? And this is 2023. We're going to have to do what's right here. Okay. And I think it's going to end up fixing itself. But, Daph, we can sense, obviously, the frustration, the fact that it got to this point. It's very, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
But it's just, for me, that's what you just said. It's more frustrating to know that it would get to the point that there's some sponsorship, or that people will just go on public place and criticize, and then they will abdicate, and not that they will just realize that this makes sense. This is why it's more frustrating for me also.
Yeah. Daph, you've been great, and I hope you're going to join me on more than one occasion here.
Absolutely.
I'd love to have you as much, as many times as you're available. And, the fact that your alarm is going to have to go off at 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, I want to say this. I'm glad I get to sleep in.
Tony, I will just reply this. Is this a joke?
Oh, man. Daphnée Malboeuf, there you have it. There's her Twitter handle. Marc-André Perreault from TVA. I love this guy. Look at him. Le Charmeur. What did you call him? Le Charmeur des Dames?
Charmeur des Dames.
Le Charmeur.
Fake news.
Hey, by the way, Isabelle Plante is on YouTube live right now. And she's watching religiously. And I believe she must be the same Isabelle Plante, who's a big Marc-André Perreault fan on Twitter, because...
Yeah, I met her a few weeks ago. She's a very, very nice person. I really enjoyed meeting her with Frank Etier, the Boston Bruins fan.
Oh, when you met Frank Etier, you met Isabelle Plante as well, because I found her on social media. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was very fun. Yeah, great people. It's so much fun to have nice people following, and it's great people. So I say hi to her.
Marc-André, I've said this before, and I'll leave you guys with this. The best thing about sports is that it brings people together. And look,
exactly.
It brought me, you, Marc-André.
In a spa. Oh, not me.
No, I'm kidding. Me, you. We said we were going to move on, Mapper, with two subjects we're no longer going to talk about. The spa and the subject that I brought up that you said, you're going to stop talking about this? I won't talk about that other one, all right? But sports brings people together, and it brought me, you, Daph, you, Marc-André, everyone on YouTube, everyone on Twitter Live, everyone on Facebook Live, and it brought us all together tonight. That's the beauty of sports, and that's why I want to keep on doing this as long as I can. And I don't know how to do anything else, and I kind of like the money I'm being paid for it. So
yeah, you're stuck.
No, but You know what? This is why I'm still doing this. I still accept to do this, even if the alarm goes off at 3.
Look, Raymond Singh said, let's have a sick podcast party and bring all the collaborators. So it's funny you say this, Raymond, because Agnello can tell you this. Agnello, can you come on here? And I know I keep saying that I'm going to let you guys go, but I still have you. But I want Agnello to be here for this.
How are you guys?
Agnello, all right. I don't see you. Do I see you? Yes, I see you. Okay. You just saw Raymond's message?
Yep.
When I called you last week, we had a meeting last week. And then Yellow's, by the way, he's a rock star at like event planning and making big events and stuff like that or whatever, because that's in his previous life. That's what he did, right? And Yellow, what did we talk about last week?
About doing more events.
About doing events kind of like a 5 à 7 event, but really having like everyone who watches us on YouTube and on Facebook and on Twitter Live, as well as our collaborators, trying to find a date where we can bring everyone together and have like a 5 à 7 and just have a blast. So we'll be calling you, Marc-André. We'll be calling you, Daph, and we're going to try and get everyone together so we can do this, okay?
I'm thirsty.
It's probably going to happen at the end of the Canadian season. So you won't be working, okay? All right, let's do that.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Enjoy North Carolina, Marc-André.
Yeah.
All right. Daph, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Merci beaucoup, mon chum. All right, there you have it. Marc-André Perreault, Daphnée Malboeuf. What a team. A shout out to Playground. Over 600 machines, poker tournaments, and Playground casino games, daily promotions, and unmatched customer service. Why go anywhere else? Located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. Look, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the Montreal Alouettes. This has been on my mind for a while, okay? The situation that's gone on with the Montreal Alouettes ownership group has been just not a very good situation from day one. Commissioner of the CFL, Randy Ambrosi, after hearing the propositions from several ownership groups a couple of years ago, decided to grant ownership of the Montreal Alouettes to Sid Spiegel, the late Sid Spiegel, and his son-in-law, Gary Stern. Last year, Sid Spiegel, passed away, and that left Gary Stern and the estate, the rest of the family. Unfortunately, Gary Stern and the rest of the family weren't exactly on the same page. So you had an ownership group that was not united, that was the owners of the Montreal Alouettes. So they saw things differently. It was very, very difficult. You can imagine for then President Mario Cecchini and General Manager Danny Machocha to be able to run this business when you did not have a united ownership group, and you had an ownership group that was, you had an owner, Gary Stern, who's probably a decent guy. I mean, I met him a couple of times, and he came across as a good guy to me. I don't have anything bad to say, but, I know what he was trying to do with fan engagement on social media, but he just did not align with the way Danny Machocha wanted to see this thing run, or the way Mario Cecchini wanted to see this thing run, or the way the Alouettes as an organization wanted to see this thing run. He was just different on Twitter to the point where some of the things were just kind of like a little bit weird and a little bit uncomfortable. And anyway, long story short, it was not a fit. And the Montreal Alouettes cannot be owned by someone living in Ontario who doesn't have the Alouettes in their blood. And this is what this organization needs. It needs a local ownership group, someone who's going to invest their heart and soul, their passion, their time, their energy, and their money in the Montreal Alouettes. And even if it means that they're not going to make money in return. And I understand that not too many people go into business to lose money, but at the same time, a lot of people do go into sports for the passion of it and for the fun of it. And that's what this city needs again. I'm emotional when it comes to this topic, and I'm going to tell you why, because, I never wanted the Expos to leave, and I'm worried that the Alouettes are going to leave. And even when CF Montreal goes through difficult times and they get balked by some and by the fan base and some members of the media, it bothers me because, we can't afford, like, sports. It's not at a high in our city. And I know that we all love the Montreal Canadiens. I mean, the city of Montreal is the Montreal Canadiens, but there should also be room for CF Montreal, and there should also be room for the Montreal Alouettes. We already lost the Montreal Expos. I think sports in this city is like, it's at an all-time low right now. It's, considering where boxing used to be, I think it's declined. I take a look at some of our great boxers. Unfortunately, they're a little older in age. Yes, there are some younger ones who are good. I don't deny that. I take a look at some of our amateur athletes. We have some great Quebec-born athletes in the NBA. Ben Maturin is one and stuff like that. But sports in this city, the Canadians are going through a rebuild. CF Montreal parted ways and sold some of their better players. The Montreal Alouettes, throughout this whole ownership fiasco and disaster, where you would imagine that they didn't have any funds available to them. And that's why, Trevor Harris walked and left. They probably didn't have any money for him. And Eugene Lewis walked and left. I mean, these are the core players on this team. I find that once again, there was a poll that came out, and of all the provinces in Canada, which province has actually shown the least interest for sports? And it's the province of Quebec. And I worry about what we do for a living. I worry about sports radio. I worry about sports television. I worry about sports podcasts. I worry about, a lot of young people getting into journalism and want to be working in sports. And so we need the Alouettes to stay and to survive and to thrive and to be strong and to win some championships going forward. We need the same thing from CF Montreal. I just hope that, the commissioner of the CFL, I would imagine, on the recommendation of Mario Cecchini, who was brought back to oversee pretty much, probably kind of be like a middleman between Commissioner Randy Ambrosie and the CFL, because now the Montreal Alouettes, for now, they kind of belong to the league, right? Which means that the league's giving an advance in money, which they're getting from the other teams, and eventually probably that money has to go back, or there's some kind of fund. But I really hope that with Mario Cecchini's help here in going through the entire situation, that CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie will find the right ownership group for the Montreal Alouettes. I feel for Danny Machocha. He's been dealt a real bad deck of cards here. He wasn't able to sign his two core players. I feel for Mario Cecchini, who was let go because he was probably at odds with then co-owner Gary Stern, but now brought back. I want to see over 20,000 people in the stands, back up on the mountain again at Percival Molson. I want sports to pick up in this city. I want the interest to pick up in this city. And once again, this is very important. I think it's very important to the city of Montreal that they get it right, because if they get it wrong and they go with the wrong ownership group, I'm afraid that Mario Cecchini will walk, and Mario Cecchini is a great president, and the Alouettes are in his heart. I'm afraid that if they don't have the right ownership group and select the right ownership group, that Danny Machocha will walk. And Danny Machocha is a proud Montrealer, and he has the Montreal Alouettes in his heart, and he's had them in his heart for a long, long time, since the 90s, when he used to intern for this organization. He used to volunteer for this organization. And if they don't have the right ownership group, and they lose Danny Machocha, and they lose Mario Cecchini, you're going to see that the CFL is going to end up losing the Montreal Alouettes, and they'll be gone one day. So I don't want that to happen. I know you don't want that to happen too. And so I felt I really needed to talk about this. And going forward, we're going to have Mario Cecchini on the Sick Podcast. We're going to have Danny Machocha on the Sick Podcast. And hopefully they choose the right owner here. The CFL does. And we'll have the ownership group on the Sick Podcast going forward as well. The one dead man show, The Undertaker at the Olympia Theater. In case you missed it earlier on at the start of the Sick Podcast, we announced our winners. Agnello and Sammy and Master Control. If you can bring them back up one more time. Look at these guys. We're in sync now. Paola Varone. We're going to follow Paola back. We're going to ask her for her email. We're going to send it to the WWE, and they're going to make sure that they set her up with the tickets. And we're going to do the same thing for Anthony Crisafulli. Both of them have won a pair of tickets to the Undertaker's One Dead Man show. That's it for me. It's Wednesday. Special thanks to Daphnée Malboeuf. Special thanks to Marc-André Perreault. Special thanks to all of you watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. Share it with your friends. Like it. Message us SICK, SICK, if you're loving the podcast. If you listen via Spotify, Google, or Apple, or you name it, leave us a 5-star review, because I can tell you right now, we look at all the reviews, and we're pretty happy about that. GSM says Jeff Molson will be the new owner of the Montreal Alouettes. It makes sense. It would be a fit so that, the Molsons and the Molson family could do the same thing that MLSE does with Toronto and the Argonauts and the Raptors and the Leafs and all that stuff. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Jeff Molson is going to be the new owner of the Montreal Alouettes. I would love it if he would be. I just don't think he will. Special thanks to Sammy and Agnello Cavallaro and Master Control. And thank you to all of you. Sweet dreams, Montreal Canadiens fans, Montrealers, and everyone around the world. Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell them it's pretty sick. Who's that guy that you guys watch at night at 10 p.m. Eastern? That guy. He's Marinaro. Yeah. I'm Marinaro.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. TB, embrace your true nature. And La Cage. If the last time you went to La Cage was when the Habs won the cup, it's time you went back to La Cage. The menu will surprise you.